Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. First off, we want to apologise for the gap in the videos over the last 3 months.
Unfortunately, both of us came down with COVID, followed by colds and general illness, which slowed down our renovation progress. On top of that, balancing full-time work and trying to keep up with the renovations during evenings and weekends made it tough to stay on top of social media.
But now we are finally ready to dive back into content creation and share the next steps of our project with you.
For those of you who are new here, we bought this rundown bungalow in August 2022 in the suburbs of Cardiff.
Since then, we've been working on it ourselves in the evenings and weekends. Rhys built a lovely garden office, and then we started the extension build.
It's been a huge challenge, but also incredibly rewarding, and we're excited to share more of our journey with you as we move forward. Let's go back to June where we left you off last. So we're back in the garden, guys, and it's finally time to start prepping and painting the render. First task is to just brush off all the loose sand. Once you've brushed everything off, we're going to go around the corner beads with a bit of timber, just scrape any excess render off the external just so it looks smooth. This is the only section that's not going to be painted because it's been battened out ready for timber cladding. This is a timber cladding we're thinking of going for. We're going to return to the reveals like so, and we're also going to have it vertically around the sides.
This is the primer that we are using for our metal.
So I was speaking to a decorator, and when you prime render, it's similar to plaster, but instead of 50-50 with water and paint, you do 20% water to the paint. So I've done it roughly. We're going to mix this in, chuck it in our bucket, give it a good mix through, and get our rollers out.
After the primer was complete, we then moved on to the final top coat. We decided to paint the back in sand-tex with the colour Ivory Stone. Now that the render has been painted with a primer, we can move on to the front of the house.
We recently looked at some colours for the windowsills and the walls. We've gone for like an off-white for the walls, and we're not sure about the buff for the windowsills. So the aim is for it to look like sandstone. Obviously this is just concrete if we want to replicate some sandstone. We've got a cheap plan of attack. Instead of hacking all the render off back to brick, we've picked up a floor and wall grinder, and we're going to try and take down all the high spots and try and get it as smooth as possible and see if it looks any good. So the plan of attack is we're going to use this equipment. We're going to use this industrial extractor, this large transformer, and this handheld grinder with a cup blade and a cup extraction unit. Hopefully that'll reduce the dust and we can just grind all day long. So we're all set up. We can have a little go on this wall here. Right guys, so the Hoover keeps tripping. I've changed the transformer but it's still tripping. So I'm not sure why. We'll have a little look, see if we can find the solution. But that's all we've got done so far. And hopefully we can get this sorted. Right, change of plan guys. We think the vacuum's tripping out that transformer all the time. We can't carry on, it's too dusty. So after trying to grind down the rough cast and trying to hack it off myself back to brick, it was too time consuming, so we decided to sub out the work, and it cost £500 for 2 days worth of labour.
With the render hacked off, it was finally time for new windows, which we have waited 2 years for.
The old windows were made of timber and they were single glazed, and from the newspaper clippings I reckon they were over 50 years old. So the reason we're fitting these windows ourselves is because it's being signed off by building control, and we're very lucky that our brother-in-law is actually a window fitter. So the first step was to get all the old windows out before Dan arrived. Dan actually owns his own company called Flush Fit. They cover a lot of South Wales. They also do conservatories, orangeries and super light roofs, so if you're in the area, give them a shout. So taking the middle window out was a little bit sketchy because there was a timber lintel but nothing holding it up. So I put some timber across the joists above to spread the load, and I also put some timber legs in either side of the window and pulled the window out. As you can see, the timber head fell down and the only thing keeping it up was the window.
While Rhys was ripping out the old windows, Dan was putting the new windows in.
Now that the windows are in, it's time to start installing the brand new composite door. After 2 years of having rickety timber doors, it was exciting to see our new composite door go in, which is a solid composite door with an anthracite finish externally and a white finish internally. The door will be finished with a long black pull handle, and we're going to have our letterbox in our new porch.
With the window and doors complete, it was time for us to start the rendering.
To render the front and the side, it was £2,200. Right guys, so the top coat of the render's gone on. They've sprayed her on now, and they've just sort of troweled her all off roughly. They popped out to lunch, but that is the sort of colour and finish we're going for. As you can see, it's quite a messy job. They spray her all on, and yeah, done down the side as well. So I think what they're going to do is let this set off, and once it's set, they're going to come back and then scrape it flat, and that's where that texture comes from. So yeah, can't wait for it to be done, and hopefully once it's completely dry, I believe it's meant to be a colour match to what we've got on this wall, which is an ivory sandstone. But yeah. Right guys, as you can see, we've had all the exterior rendered. It looks good, but the only downside is there's a lot of mess. All the soffits and fascias are covered with a bit of splash, so we're going to have a good clean up and get it tidy. So for the extension, we opted for sand and cement render because we really like the smooth finish. On the front of the house, we needed a breathable product because it's a 9-inch solid brick wall. We were told this silicone based render was breathable. Now looking at it, the render on the front looks really good. It's got a textured finish, which originally I didn't like, but now has grown on me. And we kind of wish we went for this on the extension because we've got some photos here of some really dodgy render work. Now that the render's finished, we've got cladding to go onto the porch and above the bay window on the gable end.
Even though we are a long way off from completion, it's still nice to show all the progress we're making.
So that's the outside of the house finished, guys. Well, pretty much apart from the cladding. And in the next video, we're going to show you what we'll be doing on the internals, and hopefully we'll catch you up all in the next video. So as always guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment below, and if you haven't already, click the subscribe button at the top, and we'll see you guys in the next video.